Hi, I'm Brittany Caldwell, your host, and I thank you for joining us on Becoming, a show where we inspire, encourage, and motivate women to become all that God has created us to be. And one of the ways that we do this is through sharing our stories of faith, perseverance, setbacks, and victories. And today's guest who will be sharing her story with us is Tracie Baker.
Hi,
Tracie,
Brittany.
thanks for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
So Tracie and I go way back. We've known each other since elementary school. We actually met at the same church, and her younger sister is my best friend. Yep. So Tracie has always been like another big sister to me. She is also a wife and a mom, amongst other things, and an event planner, which we'll get to later in the show. So Tracie, if you could start off by just telling us about college, like what was your major in college? What were your plans after college?
Absolutely. So I went to North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride. Went there, and actually I got to school and I changed my major 3 times, okay. Which people were like, what? You changed your major 3 times? I still graduated on time. Mm-hmm. But I started out as a business management major. Got there, I was in the band. While I was there, I danced with Golden Delight. And I always loved music, right? Mm-hmm. I've been great with kids and working with youth. So I changed my major to elementary education, because I said, well, maybe I want to be a teacher, okay. Right? And so I went into education and did that. And as I continued in the band program, some of the professors there were, they specified, Tracie, well, why don't you just do music? You're a vocalist. Why don't you major in music and just minor in business? Because I kept thinking, well, if I do singing, if I do music, I have to have something to fall back on. And so I changed my major to music. It was a lot because I had to take a full load, literally, over 21 hours to graduate actually on time in those 4 years. So I majored in music and minored in business.
Oh, wow. Great. Yeah. And that's one thing I didn't mention. Tracie is a phenomenal singer.
Thank you.
Very beautiful singer. So I can see why you majored in music. Yeah. So what happened after college? What did you do? Yes.
So after college, I tried to follow my dream, becoming a singer. My sister lived in California at the time, and so I moved there with her. So stayed with my sister, but it was in the Bay Area. Still sang at different little open mics and just different venues and things of that nature. But those student loan bills came in the mail and reality hit. My mom's like, you need to come home, or you need to find a job there because the student loan bills are coming in the mail and it's time for you to be serious, And so that's what brought me back to Charlotte. And so I came back after that because I needed to pay my student loans. Right. And so came back. And still worked on music, here and there. Recorded a few years and did those things on the side. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then so what happened after? So you were doing music and then you came back. And so then where? Did you just get a 9-to-5 job? Or
yes. Okay. So I went into HR. So I started working in HR and started a career in the recruiting world. Okay. And so I did that all the way to now, pretty much.
Okay, so HR is pretty much what you got into. Yeah. But then something else developed.
Right.
Which is event planning.
Absolutely,
So that's something that ever since I've known you, you've been really great at just getting people together and just being creative and making things look nice and beautiful and making people feel welcome. But how did event planning come into your life?
Okay. So while in college, I did an internship. I was an Inroads intern. Mm-hmm. And so there I worked at the YMCA of Greater Charlotte, and we had an intern reception. Mm-hmm. So that was my first event that I ever did. Okay. And so they were asking about just doing a reception for the interns. At this point, I was an intern leader. I was a senior, I believe, in college, and they wanted us to do an intern reception. And they were just thinking of doing just a small reception with food and beverages and things like that. And of course me, I'm like, oh, no. Yes, no, nothing small. So I said, why don't we put a theme to it, and it's, your next destination. And so then they gave me a budget, and so I went and bought airplanes and all these different things that talk about your final destination. I think that at that point the movie was out, Final Destination. So, but it wasn't a scary theme event. It was just about what's your next destination. And so Did that, created a program, and so we made it fun. Did that, and then it just bloomed from there. So I started being, I worked with the Alphas at North Carolina A&T.
Okay.
I was Miss Black and Gold, and so I did a Making the Band event.
Right.
And so we had people audition for the band and just created a huge event. So it transpired from there, and then did pageants and just transpired to make things bigger and better. So.
And then people heard of you through those events and said, okay, I want to get Tracie to do it because I've seen her work.
Yeah.
And I know she's going to do something more than I could have thought of.
Absolutely. So that's where it started. Yeah.
And then after that, you got a certificate in, are you
yes,
currently getting that?
Yes. So I recently, so after that I did weddings and things of that nature as well, and did my wedding too.
Yeah.
And so it just continued my love for it, but it wasn't until I had my first baby and I got back to work. I working in HR. I got back to work, and I was so excited to be back at work. And when I got there, and sorry if I get a little bit emotional, but I got back to work and I was so excited to share the news of my baby, and I had been out for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, excuse me. So got out, came back, and they're like, we're gonna change your job title. We're gonna cut your pay, and we want you to train someone else to do your job.
Okay.
That completely rocked me, to be honest, because for me, that was my job. I had a newborn baby. Thank you. Sorry, I'm so emotional. So I had a newborn baby that was depending on me, and that's what I knew to make money, to make ends meet. I have a husband as well, but we were transitioning back to first time parents as well. So I wanted to pull my weight as well. And so that changed everything for me pretty much. And so I had to really, really, really do a lot of praying. I thank God for just surrounding me with family and friends, parents who just surrounded me. And I knew what prayer was, but to really understand how prayer works, So anyways, I went through that entire transition.
Okay.
I know that transition was for God to reveal to me that He's my source, right? It's not the job that's my source. It's not people who is my source, but He's truly my source. And so we went back to the drawing board. Pretty much I was praying, and my husband and I writing stuff down, making it plain. Yeah. And my husband was like, well, what do you love to do, right?
Yeah.
I love doing events. Okay. So we went to that. We're like, okay. So I started researching different events. And so found a media and events course at UNC Charlotte, a certification course. And so I completed that course in November.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So just starting fresh.
Okay.
Completed that course in November and started
doing
events.
And you just had your first event.
Absolutely.
Well, not your first, but your first official event.
Absolutely.
Under your new company.
Yes.
And so, but before we get into that event, one thing that I have noticed about your story is it is one of perseverance.
Yeah.
Even from sinking is still a part of your life.
Absolutely.
Even from moving back to Charlotte from California, you persevered. You said, okay, well, I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna start working on paying off my student loans. I'm gonna still sing, because you sing in church.
Absolutely.
And I'm also gonna still plan events. But then once you got to back to your job, things didn't look like how you thought it would look. But then you said, okay, well, that's okay. What can I do? What do I love to do? And like you said, God flipped that. Something that could have been horrible, something that could have stopped you in your tracks and said, well, just forget it. You flipped that to something so beautiful, and you got to see your gifts shine through that. So that is amazing. Definitely a story of perseverance.
Thank you. Very humbling experience. So.
I bet. So you had your first event. So tell us about what that event was.
Yes. So talking about perseverance and things of that nature, one of the biggest things for me was to be a doer, right? So God gave me all these gifts, but I was sitting on it. So me completing the course was one piece, right? Okay. It's like, okay, check. Just do it. Step out and do it. Yeah. I'm giving you the tools to do it. Tracie, go for it. Check. So next piece was, okay, you have to have an event. You need to start, because if you don't, you have it, but you're just sitting. You got to start. So start somewhere. So it's the holiday. I wanted to create something where I could give back to someone else that may be less fortunate than me. And so I wanted to think of something fun to do as well. So I did like a holiday brunch event where the proceeds went to a child's place. One of my friends is the director there, and she was just, we weren't having a conversation relating to my event planning or anything. And she was just sharing with me how, you know, she's the director there now, and how there's a challenge to have an emergency fund for the parents and, well, the children, because so basically a child's place is a nonprofit for homeless children. Okay. And so they're to ease that. And so what she was sharing was that the families, they have money to pay their rent, but they fall on hard times. So they may not have money to pay a security deposit or to pay their water. They just may fall on hard times. Right. And so she was creating an emergency fund for that. And so she just wanted to have money there so that if a family calls, she can help to ease that so that we don't, because if a family, if a parent is homeless, a child is homeless. So I decided for my proceeds to go to them. To that, okay. And so I hosted a great event. It was phenomenal. And so, I mean,
what was it called?
It was called Trap and R&B Brunch.
Okay.
And so I tried to make it fun, to make it relative to what's going on today and what people enjoy doing. So it was karaoke. They sang, they rapped. And then we had great food along with it. We raised money, had a silent auction. And so it's the holidays now, so we'll be giving that check to them on the 2nd.
Wow, so, that's beautiful. And so not only do you get to do something fun, but you also get to give back.
Absolutely.
Which is so good. How did that make you feel to say, okay, because the name of your company, really quickly, is what?
It's called Dream Big Events.
Dream Big Events, which is so fitting for you.
Yes, and for me, you know, I think when people plan events, they always keep themselves in a box, right? We're always, of course, we talk about budget, you know, that's the number one thing. But I want people, when they come to me, if money was an issue, right? If we could take money out of the picture, what would you have? Right. What are you dreaming of? You know, and it's one of those things too, where God told me, you know, not just told me, he told us, you have that faith, it's all size of a mustard seed, right? You know, so if our dreams don't scare us, then they're not big enough, right? So for me, it's just like, if that was not an option, what would it be? Because allow me to figure out the other part. You want
to be a part of making that dream
come true. Right, absolutely.
That is beautiful.
Absolutely. So,
and so Dream Big Events.
Right.
And so how did you feel after doing your first event, like having it done?
It's still so surreal. Yeah, it's really still so surreal. The feedback was phenomenal. You know, everyone's like, it's an annual thing, right? You know, are you gonna have, when is the next one? You know, and I'm like, whoa. I actually have 2 events. People have already contacted me about doing their events, other small events, a baby shower, a tea, and one is actually virtual. Oh, wow. In California, actually. Yeah. So it's just, the word is getting out. So it's one of those things like, God, I see you. That's amazing. I see you, God. I see you working, you know. Right. So it's just one of those things about being obedient. When you're obedient, you know, things happen outside of what you can even imagine.
Yeah, so. I agree. And so through all of this, this journey that you've been on, who do you see yourself becoming?
I see myself becoming, okay, can I mix it up?
Yes.
It would be a mix of Michelle Obama with a mix of Beyonce of events, if I can mix those two intertwined, because they're so well respected, but yet so stylish with a pop, and people, they're favored by people, right? So I want to make sure that I'm favored by people. I want to make sure that I am producing something that's solid and quality, right? So when I think of them, I think of quality. I think of being solid. I think of a little fierceness and a little sass with it, you know? So I want to have favor with people as well. I want to make people happy, bring about those emotions with people. So,
and you will. One day someone's going to say, I want to be like Tracie Baker.
Wow.
Like, that's who I want to be like.
That would be awesome.
And so if you could encourage someone who is going through a similar journey that you went through, what would you tell them?
I would tell them that God has not forgotten you. You know, because I'm so emotional. I'm so sorry.
Okay. You can be emotional.
It's that God has not forgotten you. You know, because sometimes you can go through things and you forget that He's in control of everything. You know, and that He may have placed people for vehicles, but it's not just he's still the source, right? He's your source. And he's not forgotten. You're not forgotten, you know? So that's what I would tell people. Trust God, with everything in you. Continue to pray steadfast, no matter good, bad. Praise him in advance. Praise God in advance, because you're not forgotten. You're not forgotten. So
I love that. Were there times when you felt like, we all have those times, but specific times that you can share where you felt like you were forgotten?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because for me, you know, it was having my first child was one of the greatest highlights of my life, right? As women, we go through things where we feel like, well, maybe, can I have a baby? You know, can those things happen? For me? Yeah. And so for me, that was one of the greatest highlights of my life. So to feel like, Lord, I'm paying my tithes, I'm being obedient, you know, I'm doing everything you asked of me, I'm giving back, you know, so, and then when something like that hits you, you're like, I was confused, you know, like, Lord, what am I doing? Am I doing something wrong? Have you forgot about me? I'm over here, I'm praying, I'm giving back, I'm being obedient, you know, I'm giving my tithes, Lord, you know, how could this happen to me? And then it's one of the things that hits you, well, why not you? You know, why not you? You know, your testimony is going to be greater. Than this trial you're going through. If I don't take you through this, you know, you have to understand that I'm your source. I'm your sole source. Yeah. So
I love that. I love how you flipped it to why not me.
Yeah.
That can be a very, very difficult thing to say and to think about when you're going through something. It's like, why not me? I must be a very strong person. I must be someone who God saw fit to walk out this journey the way that he thinks I should walk it out.
Yeah.
Because I just share, because just like with me and being single, you know, I would have thought I would have married by now. But one day it did kind of hit me, not in those words, but why not me? Like, why not I be the person that's single, that has this time to do all of these many great things that God has called me to do? And he entrusted me to walk out this part of this journey, you know, to be at this point in my life and be single. Like, he entrusted me to do that.
Absolutely.
You know, and just to flip it, instead of saying why, well, it's me. It's like, why not me? Like, that's a blessing. Like, that's a gift.
Yeah, for sure.
To be able to be single at this point in my life. Like, it's a gift.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a beautiful way that you phrase that, of why not me.
Yeah. Because we tell God all the time, and we say, well, use me, Lord.
Yes.
You know, we say, use me, but, sorry. It's one of those things like, you can't tell God how he wants to use you, because he knows our beginning and our end, right?
Yeah.
So we can say, well, use me, God. I want you to use me.
Right.
Okay, but do we truly mean that, right?
Right.
Are we ready for God to use us?
Right.
And it's one of those things that, like I said, I understand, and I accept it now that, Lord, I know why you took me through this. I get it. And use me to be a testimony and be strength for someone else who may go through it. You know?
Because when we say use me, a lot of times, like you said, it's use me when I'm married. Or use me once I have my child.
Exactly.
Like, and he's like, no, I want to use you right now.
Right now.
Like, this is the perfect time to use you. We want to set parameters or whatever on how he can use us.
Absolutely.
And so, but when he does uses us, I mean, it's so beautiful and it's so great.
Yeah.
But the journey is hard.
Like
you said, it wasn't easy, you know, to get to this point in your life.
And I see it still brings me to tears, you know, because you think about those things.
Right. But what I loved is how, like you said, you took one step. Like, that's the thing. Because I'm a big picture person, and I feel like I have to know the entire story. And God has broken me from that. I've gotten way better. But I used to kind of be fearful of taking a step until I knew exactly what it would look like. And even this show is a testimony of me just taking a step.
Stepping out.
Like you said, you just took a step. And I think that's how he's been working in my life. Like, Brittany, just take the next step.
Yeah, take the step and I'll do the rest.
I'll do the rest.
I'll do the rest, right? I'll give you the resources.
I'll give you the resources. I will place people in front of your life that no one else could have placed in your life.
Right.
I will open that door that no one else can open.
Yep. Like, and you know it's me.
And you know
it's me, because he's going to get the glory, right? Out of all of it. So,
yeah. That's how you're going to know it's me, because you couldn't do it on your own.
I couldn't, right? Yeah. Absolutely.
So I love that. Like you said, take a step. And so I want to encourage those who are watching to do that. To just take that next step. Tracie's testimony was so encouraging to me. I know that it was encouraging to you as well. But yeah, I just want to encourage you. Take that next step. Pick up that paper and write that book. You know, write that screenplay. Go on that audition. Take that acting classes. Take that event planning course. You know, and
write the vision.
Write the vision. Start journaling. Write the vision and make it plain, because you never know how God is going to use that next step. Yeah. And he will, you know, tell you what to do next, and he'll guide you along the way. So, Tracie, are there any, you know, final thoughts, anything else that you wanted to share?
I do want to thank you so much for having me and thinking so highly of me, just to use on your platform, you know, because God is going to do great things in and through you as well, as always. So I feel very humbled and blessed to be here. So
thank you so much. Yeah. My sister, you guys.
Absolutely. Write the vision, make it plain.
Make it plain. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, I hope that Tracie's story was a blessing to you as much as it was a blessing to me. And I look forward to seeing you becoming all that God has created you to be.